Alright guys, so today we were talking about lure fishing for trout. How to do it in lakes and ponds, as well as in rivers and streams. So let's get right into it. So let's begin with rivers and streams. Now this is my favorite type of lure fishing for trout by far. I like to do it in lakes as well, but there's just something about casting a spinner or a small crankbait into a stream, and as you're retrieving the lure, having a trout just absolutely pummel it. That is by far the most exciting type of trout fishing for me. So we'll get right into that. So you're gonna want your light action rod, and all you have to do, right now I've got a little split shot rig for bait fishing, but all you have to do is tie on a snap swivel, and that's it. Let me explain why. So your snap swivel will have a clip that opens, right? And your lure has a little hole at the top so you can tie the line. Well, you can bypass tying the line. You can just clip this ring onto your snap swivel and it works great. That is the simple rig, and all you have to do is find a good spot to cast to, like in a deep hole or in like behind rocks and stuff like that at the end of a run. Just cast out, and you reel in the lure to the point where it engages, but not too fast. You don't want to crank and wind. You just want to cast it out there to where you're casting and just reel it in slow and steady. That is really it, guys. You've seen this, you've seen me do this all the time. You've seen it in all kinds of my videos. I've done several videos where I've used this tactic and had pretty good success. So, and it's really quite a simple tactic, and you just get better at it as you go. Now moving on to lake fishing. Now this is slightly more complicated since lakes are generally much wider, and you have a lot more water to cover than in rivers and streams. So you're going to want your long rod, obviously. You're going to, I usually like to have a rig like this, and this works for flies in lakes too. You can throw a fly on spinning gear in lakes using this tactic. So what I like to do is on your main line you slide. So now it's dependent on, is the lake you're fishing really deep? Well, you got to find where the fish are. Are the fish holding deep, or are they up top feeding? So if you find that they're holding deep, you want to have an egg sinker right here above the bubble. But if they're close to the surface, you may just you'll want to fill this bubble up with water. This one for some reason is broken, but you're going to want to fill that bubble all the way up with water so you can cast to anywhere you need to go. So you got that bubble filled with water, you got a swivel, and then for your leader, that also depends on if the fish are holding deep or if they're up top. Well, not necessarily, but it's a convenience to have. If they're near the top, you may want to go with a monofilament leader. But if they're hanging deep, you want a fluorocarbon leader that can get down there pretty fast. When they're up top, I usually don't have the rig run top water, because this bubble and the sinker would make a huge disturbance in the water and scare all the fish away. What I like to do is I tie on just like a, let me see here. I got this dry fly on right now from my last fishing trip. I think this is a fluorocarbon leader, but as you can see here, I don't have the weight. But the thing is, if you don't have the weight, you're gonna have to reel super slow just so that bubble stays underwater, and so it doesn't come up and make a bunch of noise on the surface, because that would scare all the fish away. So you want to, you can use a sinker on this. I've got like a split shot that somehow slid all the way up the line, but just a little egg sinker or something, just to keep that bubble down under the water, and you're good to go. And then if they're hanging up top, I'd recommend a monofilament leader, but not a necessity. You can just change your retrieve speed or other factors to get that optimal depth. And then I like to use spinners a lot in lakes, but I find that on a day where the fish are surfacing, flies are the way to go. I really don't know any ways to throw flies on spinning gear in streams. Fly fishing obviously is really the only way I can think of. But you can throw flies on spinning gear in lakes and ponds if you've got the same rig as you throw with your lures. And this is for bank fishing, by the way. If you have a boat, you can go anywhere you want on the lake and fish any of those key spots without having to have all this fancy stuff and all this leader and stuff. At that point, I'd recommend like lighter line on your rod. But let's just say you're bank fishing, because I think most people bank fish, and that's what I do. So you got your bubble, your swivel, 3-4 feet of leader, and your fly or lure of choice. Now, when it comes to your choice of fly or lure, I like to use spinners, Mepps spinners, Panther Martin spinners, really any kind of good spinner that you find reliable. Any spinner that you find reliable will do. Now, for a beginner, I'd recommend Mepps. Mepps, it's the easiest to engage the blade. All you have to do is start reeling, and that blade will start spinning. With lake fishing, I usually don't like to use the Rapalas, but in stream fishing, I certainly do. I talked about that in episode 1 of this series. This is currently episode 3. But that about does it. If you're going to use spinners, I'd recommend tying a swivel here at the end of the line. Just think of this little fly here as a swivel. That's just so you can change lures quickly. So if you're trying different things, trying to find which pattern works for the fish, that swivel will save you a ton of time, and you can find that working spinner quickly. As for lure choice for beginners, spinner patterns, I just recommend like a simple silver or gold, and then to expand your horizons, like any other colors that you think would work, like a trout color or like a red color, but it's really up to you. But just for like basic beginner lures, I'd recommend Mepps, classic silver or classic gold. And if you're a stream fisherman and you want to do Rapalas, small crankbaits, I'd recommend either just like a gold or silver, or brown trout pattern. The brown trout pattern I've found works for rainbow trout, brown trout, cut bow trout, and brook trout. And just a versatile little jerkbait, crankbait overall. But that about does it for lures, guys. And if you have any lures that you'd like to bring to my attention, if you're a veteran angler and you'd like to let me know some stuff, because I'm always looking to try new things. If you've got any interesting information for me, please leave it down in the comments below. If you want to see more tutorials and cool stuff, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. But besides that, guys, I think that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.